Hi everyone, this is going to be a very basic video regarding how you can start calligraphy. A lot of people ask questions as how they can start a calligraphy with the very basic of tools such as a simple pencil. Well, obviously, yes, you can start calligraphy with a pencil, but I think that before you start or even pick up the pencil to start a calligraphy, a few things that you should know or keep in mind before starting it. The first thing is that yes, as I already said, that you can use a pencil for calligraphy, definitely, but you need to know the basics on how to work with different scripts. Each script has its own variations and has its own basic fundamentals that you can learn with the help of an instructor, or definitely there are a lot of videos on YouTube that you can follow through. Okay, so one thing that I need to clarify before we start further on how to use this pencil is that remember, handwriting and calligraphy are two different things. So if you think that you have a bad handwriting and you cannot learn calligraphy, that is a completely false statement. Let me just clarify if it's a little confusing. If you have a bad handwriting, this does not mean that you cannot be good at calligraphy. You definitely can. On the other hand, if you have a very good handwriting, chances are that you might struggle with learning in calligraphy. Next thing that I would like to explain is about calligraphy. So calligraphy has different scripts. In this video, I will be talking about on how to work with Copperplate. So let me just show you quickly some examples of Copperplate. This is a script written in Copperplate, right? The main, excuse my throat, the main thing that we need to understand in Copperplate is you need to see that there are two major parts here. One is the shaded stroke or the thick stroke, and then we have these very fine hairlines. The thin strokes are referred to as hairlines. You can see here as well, we have thick strokes and then we have very fine hairlines. So this is how a beautiful script will be written, with hairlines and shades. Now to achieve this, I have this nib right here, this nib, right? If you can see the nib, this is a nib that we use, or there are different variations of nibs as well. So how do you get the thick and thin strokes? That's very important to understand. We have this, let me just see if I can, we have this nib, and this is basically a flexible nib. What this means is, like, if I start to press on it, you will see that the nib opens up. These are actually the two tines that open up, and when you press them down and drag, you get a thick shade, and when you release the pressure and write, this will give you a very fine hairlines, right? So when you put pressure, the tines will spread apart, and moving down will make heavier shades or thicker shades. And then you have this oblique holder. This oblique holder has a nib attached, just like this. This is a separate nib right now, and then you have this nib attached. So the same concept, we have this nib, and you can see this nib is at an angle, which basically helps you in the slant of your script, writing in the script in an angle. We write Copperplate at a 55-degree angle usually. So this is the same nib. If I put pressure, you can see that the tines will open up, and when I release the pressure, the tines go back to their original position. So some of you cannot find these holders maybe, or cannot reach them, or some of you obviously want to start with the very basic tools and do not want to invest in expensive equipment. So for that purpose, you can definitely use a pencil, And some of you also ask questions that can use an ink pen. So let me just go ahead and quickly take out an ink pen. So this is a regular ink pen, and what this does is it basically writes. Yeah, definitely writes. Let me just grab an empty page. Let's go somewhere here, right? And if I just write something, let's say I'm just writing like anything, word. And what happens with this particular ink pen and with this nib is, this is not a flex nib, which means you cannot get shades with this particular nib. If I press, you will see that the nib doesn't go anywhere. The tines do not spread apart. So this means that no matter how much pressure I put, I won't get a shade. I will only get this line, a thin line, whatever this point size is. This is basically a fine nib, so it's giving me a particular line width, and it won't change no matter how much pressure I start putting or release the pressure. It will more or less give me the same variation of the line. So this ink pen, no, you cannot use this for calligraphy or writing copperplate in particular, because this is not a flex nib. You can write beautiful handwriting with this, or you can write cursive with this, definitely with an ink pen, and you can write some different sort of script, but definitely it won't help you in copperplate. Then we have these mechanical pencils. If you have these lying around, how will these benefit? Let me just show you this one. This is the Pentel mechanical pencil, and it has a 0.5 mm lead inside, if you can just see there, right? So this is going to help. Let's just find out and quickly do some letters with copperplate. So this is going to be an H, and like this, and maybe let's try out a B. So you see what happens is with this pencil, because it's such a fine, let me just put it close to the camera. So you can see that I could not achieve very thick shades with this pencil, because this does not have a very thick lead. It's a very thin 0.5 mm lead, and you can see that the shades are very, very minimum. The hairline, you can see the hairline, and then you can see I did attempt to put some pressure on the downstroke to achieve a shade, but what happens is with this particular shade we can even destroy the tooth of the paper. So it's not very visible right here. Let me just do a little more pressure and see if you can see what I mean. Okay, this should do something. So if you let me see, there's a lot of light around here. So if you put a lot of pressure on the paper, you actually get the paper, the tooth damaged. The tooth of the paper will basically get damaged. So that is not a very good thing. We need to apply pressure, and we do apply pressure, but it's not that sort of a pressure where you actually press inside the paper. It has to be very subtle, right? So this kind of a pencil is definitely a no-go area for copperplate. This won't help you. Then we have this is a Staedtler Techno Pencil. It has a 2 mm, I think it's a 2 mm lead. It's fairly more thick than this mechanical pencil, 0.5 mm obviously. This is 2 mm. This pencil might help you a little, but I would not suggest using this, especially if you are a beginner. Let me just write down some words, not words, letters. So if we just quickly, this is from Pentel Mech Pencil 0.5 mm, and this one is from, just write a short form, Staedtler 2 mm lead, right? And this lead is basically an HB lead. So if you, I will describe what this HB means when we shift to the regular pencil. So to cut it short, let me just put this again right here. So if we zoom in like this, right here, so you can see I was a little successful in achieving better shades as compared to this one, these ones, right? So it does have some sort of shade, but then again, this is not a very optimum tool. You can try with this if you have one of these lying around, but not recommended. So now let's come back to the all favorite tool, the pencil tool, which is a versatile tool in doing all sorts of artwork. And obviously you can do drawings with this, sketch with this, and you can also do Copperplate. So before we move, what I would recommend is, this is a Derwent Graphic 5B pencil. You see it says 5B. So what does this 5B mean? This is another pencil which says 8B. If you can see, it's a really small, but you can trust me, this is an 8B. It says 8B right here, right? So basically this is the softness of the lead inside. The higher the number, the softer the lead. We even have a 9B pencil. So we have 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 8B, and 8B as well right here, and the 9B as well. So let's use this 8B pencil, and let's see if we can get some nice shades with this. Down there and the corner. So this is an 8B pencil, right? Let me just attempt to bring it closer and see if we can. So you see, this is definitely better than the above two pencils that we used, and we get nice shades with a simple pencil as 8B. So if you have, usually the pencils you work with are HB pencils. I don't have an HB pencil right here. I do have an HB pencil. Let me just grab an HB pencil. So here is a Staedtler HB pencil. This is too shiny. If I can just, I don't know if you can see it. Hello, HB. Maybe there you can see it says HB right here. So you have to take my word for it that this is an HB pencil. So this is an HB pencil. This is the standard ones that we get. But this has a fairly hard lead. So it gets a little difficult to generate shades with this pencil. You can get 8B pencils or a 6B pencil very easily from your nearest bookstore or your stationery supply store. And I would recommend to always get a better quality pencil, and that will help you, right? So here I have a Derwent, and then I have Symbolian. Definitely they have a different price range to them, and these definitely help you. Also, what I do is, before you start, let me just sharpen this pencil quickly and demonstrate what happens. So when you bring in a new pencil, you will be definitely having a pointed lead. So a pointed lead is not very efficient in writing Copperplate, right? Even with an 8B. So if you keep sharpening your pencil, it will be a little difficult for you. Let me just. So you see, this is still an 8B pencil, but you can see the difference of shades, right? This is definitely a heavier shade, and this one is a little thin compared to this one, right? Although this is also done with the same pencil, and this is also done with the same 8B pencil. So what to do? What you can do is, you can either like take your nail and carefully just chip it off. That's one way. Another way is you need to scribble a little and blunt the lead out. This will have help you. This is a fine example of how your lead should be. Yeah, it's a little too much, although but then again, for beginners this is kind of a good thing. What else you can do is, I have this sandpaper. You can get a sandpaper and gently rub the tip, right, like this. I don't know if this is going to be very effective, but this definitely works for me. These things are like different for everyone. There's no hard and fast rule, or at least I don't believe there is one. Whatever works for you best, however you can make your tools work. You can even, if you have a rough desk, maybe you can just start rubbing the lead under below your desk, and you can get that as well. So this will basically blunt your nib or the lead, and you can get one like this, and then you can start writing. You see, this is still not the same as this was because we basically sharpened. So we maybe need to write something with this, or just scribble out. I hope you can see that I'm scribbling it out. So you can scribble on the paper, on a rough paper, and make sure that you get a blunt lead. Let me just show you how this should be. Right, this should be good. You can see that how I have like the tip. You can see that the tip has a little flat surface to it. This is the kind of tip that will help you in writing Copperplate. So let's see. Let's try it out again and see if this is any good. Well, it is better. Definitely good. So you can write. You see, we can get light shades, hairlines, and then the thick strokes. So to achieve a good Copperplate script, or a good looking script at least, you need to maintain the shades and the hairlines in your script. But to achieve anything, you definitely need to go and learn the fundamentals, even if you're working with a pencil, right? One more thing I would like to explain. Let me see if we can find that. Yep, it's here. So what you can do is, if you are good with utility knife, you can even instead of using the standard sharpener, which leads to a sharp lead, you can actually use a utility knife, and then you can get something like this. Although this is a very small pencil, this is actually a 6B pencil, which is about to end, but we can still write with this. And this has an amazing lead for Copperplate. I have basically used a utility knife and carved out the lead exactly as I need it. With this, you don't need to use the sandpaper. You just might need to do a little scribbling, and this will be a beautiful point. Let's see if we can write like this. Oops. I'm going to show you something which I really like about the pencil, and especially when you're writing with a pencil. I will just explain it to you. Maybe you might agree with me, or you might not agree with me. Here, maybe this is a little too further away. It should be like this. Anyhow, it was a quick sketch. You can see that this gives you very fine, very beautiful grains, because we have although the paper is also a little has a little texture to it, and then you can get these kind of shades as well, and then you get a beautiful kind of a script or a feel to it. So it all depends what you are trying to achieve. Oh, I just noticed that my end needs to be. Sometimes you need to maybe go over it again like this. But then again, in the end, I would still say that to start learning calligraphy, even if you think that you will be always using a pencil, the foundations the fundamentals of the script, of any script that you're learning. You have to learn them first to start writing your letters or your words. So that's important. I hope this video helped you out. This was a very informal kind of a video that I thought I should be sharing with you. Let me know if it helps you out, and if you need to ask anything else, you can. I do have one more thing to share. So I have these color pencils. If you want to go fancy with your pencils, you can have these sort of pencils as well. These are color Monolith Pencils. So I have a 2B version, 8B, and here I have an HB, if you can see, like this. So if you take the HB, if you take the 8B pencil and write with this, let me see if I'm off the screen somewhere or not. Maybe this space, like this. So you can see the point of this lead is also not very sharp. I have like scribbled with it a lot to get a flat surface. You can see this shiny part. You see this nib has a little flat surface to it. Let's just start writing. See? So this is definitely a very interesting thing to learn. If you want to learn calligraphy and you want to start with the very basics, just go ahead and get some 8B pencils. I would suggest you get a range of pencils if you want, maybe a 2B pencil, 3B, 4B. Then you can skip the 5, 6, just get an 8B pencil. Don't get the pencils with edge. You also get pencils which have, which say 2H, 3H, 4H, 5H. These are the leads that are actually very hard, and they are definitely not going to help you. You need the B series, the B versions, right? So that you can get a soft lead, and with this soft lead you can achieve the shades and the hairlines that are the fundamental or the compulsory requirement or the mandatory requirements for the Copperplate script. My main focus was to tell you how the shades work by showing you an oblique holder and this nib that I showed you in the start of this video. I hope this has helped you out, and if you have anything else to ask, please don't forget to comment. You can comment or contact me, and I would be glad to help you out.